There are times in a nation's life when every family wants to know, are we being fair? Are our laws steady and true? Or have we let fear and anger drive us to a place where good folks, even our own children, pay the highest price? Today, I speak to you as a fellow citizen and as a father who loved this land, its towns, its farms, its cities, and, above all, its families. I do not come to feed anyone's anger, nor to set one group against another. I come, as always, to ask, what is the square deal? What is truly just? For every American child and every working family. Picture a small apartment building at dusk, kids doing homework at the kitchen table, a mother moving quietly, tucking in notebooks and keeping half an eye on the clock to see if her husband will get off a late shift. Now, imagine a letter arrives, a notice ordering the whole family out, not because of any crime, but because one member cannot prove their citizenship. This is the heart of the new rule from our nation's Department of Housing. Under the proposal, any family living in public, federally subsidized housing, even if most are citizens, faces eviction if a single member is undocumented. It matters little if children were born here. It matters not if they have never known another home. The rule is clear. Out you go. Let us gather the facts as honest people must. The department estimates about 24,000 people in such mixed-status homes. Advocacy groups warn the true number of those affected, many of them citizen children, could reach 80,000 souls, including up to 37,000 American-born boys and girls. That is no small crowd. Those are not figures on a page. They are faces. They are hands at dinner tables, laughter in schoolyards, prayers whispered at night. We are told these families must leave because public help should go first to citizens and legal residents. Well and good, say many. There are long waiting lists, hard choices, tight dollars. The law, we are reminded, is the law. But here is the first principle of the square deal, the old American promise. Law must serve justice. It must not grind down the weak to flatter the strong. It must not cast out the blameless child for the sake of easy applause. Picture a voter in a city office near dawn, waiting quietly in a hard-backed chair as she fills out a housing form. She does not know if she will have an address for mail by the end of the month, but she never missed a shift at the laundry or a test at school. Some would say, why should taxpayer money shelter anyone but citizens? Let me answer plainly. Under current law, mixed-status families get no subsidy for undocumented members. They pay higher rent than anyone, filling in exactly that gap with hard-earned money. So what use is it to evict them? It will not add any more homes for citizens. It will only push hundreds, thousands, onto the street, swelling the lines at city shelters, churches, and the offices of worried public servants. Imagine a classroom with empty seats after summer break. A teacher asks, where is Samuel? Where is Maria? The answer is silence. The family had to pack up, leave, go where? No one knows. Perhaps to an aunt in another state, perhaps to no one at all. The real risk is not to the people who made the rules, it is to children, many of them citizens by right, forced from their beds and their neighborhoods, to a mother who must choose between safety and splitting her family, to the trust that holds a community together. The trust that says our laws, at their best, do not punish you for the blood in your veins or the papers in your pocket. History has seen this before. At each turn, America has faced the question, do we sacrifice the few for the comfort of the many, or do we hold fast to fair play? In my time, we called it the square deal. It means a fair chance for all, special privilege for none. Now, let me show you how this plays out in daily life. Picture a father working late, standing at a bus stop under city lights, thinking about tomorrow's rent. He knows he pays every dollar, never late. He knows his oldest was born on Main Street, as American as anyone. Yet one part of his family's story, paperwork, birth, timing, may soon erase the roof over their heads. Suppose you were that child, or that parent, or the neighbor who sees them move away. Would you find justice in this, or only sorrow? As this rule is debated, some say it will clear waiting lists. But when the family is thrown out, their empty home does not solve the housing crunch. It does not shorten any line. It only moves the suffering. It does not cure it. Picture a line of families, some children sleeping on grown-up shoulders, waiting outside a church-run shelter on a chill spring night. The light from the doorway spills out onto the sidewalk. Each one knows sleep will be restless. Tomorrow, the question of where next will echo again. Our city managers, our mayors, our charity workers all say the same. If the rule takes effect, the burden will shift and grow. More children with no fixed address. More teachers struggling to help kids who keep moving. More police and medics called out for worry, not law-breaking. It is not the first time well-meaning people have acted in haste, and it will not be the last. But the beauty of our republic, what I believed, and what I ask you to believe again, is that we can weigh the hard choices. We need neither blind anger nor blind charity. We can ask better questions and aim for better answers. Think of a meeting in a town hall on a hot July evening. Citizens stand to speak, voices earnest, tempers mostly held. One neighbor calls for order, another pleads for mercy. Between them stands the heart of the republic, a people who can argue, reason, and make peace with each other. This spirit, this ability to debate without hatred, is what has always made America strong. Picture a flag in the evening breeze above a courthouse, while inside, local leaders try to balance the books and look out for their own. In this very moment, we are called to do what only free people can do, not to pass by suffering with eyes averted, nor to rush to judgment with closed fists, but to think, and to reason, and to choose the better path. Let us listen also to those who support the rule. Their fears are real, of scarce resources, long waiting lists, and the duty a government has to its own. To care for your neighbor does not mean you must leave your own house in need. Yet, fairness is not a zero-sum game. The republic is not held together by resentment or by always saying no. The true American answer has always been this: do not break what works, improve what you can, and never lose sight of the higher law of justice that asks, what if it were my child, my home, my good name at stake? History shows that each time we have chosen wisdom over fear, America has grown stronger. Every generation faces a choice. Do we close the door to those in need, or do we find a way to welcome the next generation of citizens, workers, and neighbors without letting go of order or law? Think of a small-town mayor holding a handwritten letter from a family worried they are about to lose their home. The paper is crumpled from too much folding and hours of anxious holding. Do we answer that family with silence, or with a sense of duty to seek justice beyond the comfort of rules alone? We must acknowledge that not every law, even a well-meant one, brings justice. Laws are made by people, and people can err. The founders of our nation were wise because they built in room for change, for mercy, for neighbors sitting down and speaking plain truth to one another. The very idea of public housing came from American struggle and hope. It was born out of the Great Depression, when families lost everything but their spirit, and this nation said, no child will sleep under a bridge if we can help it. Today, if we let a new rule break up families, cast out children whose only fault is the name on a piece of paper, we betray not only them, but the hope that made the policy worth having at all. Picture a playground at sunset, half empty because a few families had to leave in the dark, their absence noted by no one but a friend gripping the swing a little tighter. Is this the America that calls to our best selves? Let me tell you a simple parable from my own experience. A Rough Rider does not ask where a comrade was born before pulling him from harm's way, in the rush and push of battle, or the hard day's work of taming wild land. It is character, loyalty, and effort that count. The square deal means treating everyone who stands beside you with honest fairness. So too, in this debate, the real standard of American justice is not how neatly we draw our lines, but how well we keep faith with one another in the hard times. When we pull support from the children of mixed-status families, we do not improve the system. We only create more hardship, more confusion, more costs, emotional, civic, and financial, that must be paid by someone somewhere down the line. Imagine a crowded church basement, cots set close, Children half asleep while volunteers unload baskets of bread and milk. Some children were in this country's schools only days ago, and now their belongings are carried in plastic bags. This is no solution to the waiting list. It is only a shift, a moving of the line, not its end. The promise of a republic is not that we will find every answer without debate, nor that we will never be forced to choose between hard options. The promise is that we meet those choices with reason and a spirit that values justice over comfort and hope over fear. Consider what happens when good citizens raise their voices, not in rage, but in determined calm. Picture a group of parents gathered at a school board meeting. There is no shouting, but their faces are weary. They want only what they were promised, a chance for their children to stay and study, to learn and grow, no matter the legal tangle of a parent or cousin. That chance is the seed of the square deal, the very heart of the republic. Law must serve the vulnerable, even as it protects order. When law serves only fear, it becomes a tool of division, not unity. Now some will say, you must draw the line somewhere. Rules exist for a reason. Very true. But let the lines we draw be bold only when justice is sure to follow, and soft where mercy is at stake. Think of a lineup at a food pantry on an autumn day, people of every color and creed waiting their turn. They do not push or blame. They know hardship can come for anyone, at any time. This set of neighbors teaches us, no one's pain is made lighter when you add suffering to another's hand. Let me offer one more story. In my youth, I watched how a town bound together in a storm. Fences fell, power went out, and food grew short. No one asked for proof of anything before sharing what little they had. In that moment, every child was cared for by all, and that is the spirit that kept America alive through so many tempests. Why should our policies, in quieter times, be less wise than those days of danger and wind? Sometimes people wonder what history will remember. Will it be the rules we passed, or the people who lived by principle? The answer is always the same. When we choose compassion guided by reason, when we temper order with justice, that is when the republic endures. Think of a police officer, late at night, called to settle a fight at a shelter. He has seen too many families come and go, knows the look of worry in a child's eyes. Which nation, which people does he serve? One that distrusts the young and helpless, or one that builds bridges of hope where others would build walls? Now, there is wisdom in caution. We must not confuse kindness with open borders, or charity with chaos. But in truth, the current law stands as a strong fence. Mixed-status families receive not $1 in subsidy for undocumented members. They pay extra, not less. So what great wrong are we correcting if all we do is punish those who already live by stricter means than most? Imagine elders sitting around a breakfast table at a diner watching the morning news. One says, "Something ought to be done." Another replies, "But not at the expense of kids." The third, quiet, stirs sugar into his coffee and says, "Fred's grandson lives in that building. He had an award from school." The table falls into silence, uncertain but caring. That uncertainty is honest. It is the spark that leads to better policy, when people listen and weigh, not just talk. If the goal is to save money, let us seek waste and cut it where it is found. If the goal is safety, let us protect our neighborhoods through smart law and steady hands. But if the true motive is simply to quiet angry voices, let us remember that peace bought by making children homeless is fleeting. It is not a peace worth having. America's strength is her unity. Unity made not by sameness, but by shared purpose. Laws cannot save us from our own smallness. They can only guide us, if we let them, toward the better angels of our nature. We must be vigilant, yes, that rules are not bent for those who cheat or threaten public trust. But let us be just as vigilant when rules threaten to harm those who have done no wrong. The sons and daughters of this soil, pledged by birth or by effort to the success of our common cause. I believe with all my heart that the Republic can be saved, not by clever slogans or empty boasts, but by good citizens caring for the least among us, day by day, decision by decision. When we lose sight of that, we stumble. When we remember it, we climb higher than before. Let us imagine one more scene. A family, huddled together in the last light before sleep, wondering where they will live next week. Their hope is battered, but not broken, because somewhere they trust there is a neighbor, a pastor, a teacher, maybe even a leader in a distant city, who still cares to ask, is this fair? Is this just? If we can be that person, if we can ask those questions with open minds and willing hearts, the Republic will endure. We are called to be not only defenders of the law, but keepers of its spirit. So tonight I ask not for outrage or easy comfort. I ask for courage, the greatest kind, born of calm, of hope, of a quiet resolve that will not bend to fear or bitterness. As you close your day, picture the doors of houses across the land, some grand, some humble. Behind each door is a story, a struggle, a hope. Justice is born when we can see the worth in every one of them. May we never let our laws be used to break what is most human in us. May we never turn the Republic into something cold and narrow, where mercy has no seat at the table. You know, in my life I saw hard men softened by the laughter of a child, rough citizens moved to tears when fairness demanded it. There is strength in this kind of mercy. It is the power that built our nation out of nothing but hope and rough timber. That is the strength we must summon. Not hatred, not fear, not a cold bookkeeping of who is worthy to shelter from the storm. I leave you with this. When all is said and done, when the rules have been debated and the anger has cooled, what kind of country will we be? When you look across your own street, into the eyes of a family struggling for a fair chance, will you see strangers to push away, or neighbors to honor with justice? The Republic stands or falls on such choices. The Republic can be saved if we remember the worth of each soul, the hope in every home, and the courage to ask in doubt and in darkness, what does justice require of me here now? That is how this nation has endured before. That is how we will endure again. And so I leave you with this question, one that belongs to all who care for the promise of America. When the hard choice comes to your door, will you stand for justice that includes the vulnerable, or for comfort that leaves them outside in the night? Think well on it, for the answer is the measure of a republic. Good night and good courage.